everybody, it's me. I'm back. Sorry for the one day off posting, but I just got back from my mom's, and for some reason I had probably I don't know. I was either really, really tired or the weather was making me really tired, but I just really couldn't function or think about making a video at that time. So I kind of just slept for 2 days. But anyway, I'm back. I've had these sketches done for a while, so I'm happy to finally get to talk about them because, I don't know, I really like talking about these two characters because personally to me, Cherri and Val have the most interesting designs, and so anyway, let's get on to the design. Now, you're gonna see me mess around with color a lot, and that mostly has to do with the fact that the computer that I use to sketch with, whenever I transport it over into the computer I use everything for, the colors get kind of muted. But yeah, so you're basically watching me fix what the computer messed up. But anyway, on to Cherri's human design. Now, a lot of you are probably going to point out that her outfit isn't as over the top as her overall design is. Now, that mostly has to do with the fact that, yeah, 80s rock fashion was super over the top, but it was only pattern and detail work. And looking through a few band photos of old 80s rock glam bands, you can kind of tell the structure of the outfit. And if you took away some of the embellishments, like the studs, the crystals, the over the top belts, they basically wore kind of just tight black pants and tight black shirts, or a ripped up black shirt or ripped up pants. The only way that the outfit would be considered over the top is if there were a lot more studs and bedazzlements. So that's what I did for Cherri. Considering the fact that she is not in a band that I know of, most of her outfits would have been kind of less embellished due to how expensive that kind of stuff was. Considering how boisterous and over the top Cherri is, I'm assuming her job life probably didn't pay as much, or she didn't get paid as much. So a lot of her outfits would either be hand-me-downs, she'd thrift most of it, or she would make it herself. So that's what the kind of vibe I was going for with her and Chillie's design, was that most of their outfits are thrifted or custom created that they made themselves. And then for Cherri's hair, and this has always been a theory with me and my roommate, that Cherri is actually a natural blonde. Because when I was looking at her demon design, I was like, it's kind of weird that she's got this blonde, faded redhead color going on when her name is Cherri, and so it just kind of bugged me that Cherri was blonde. And then my roommate was like, well, maybe she was blonde when she was alive, that's her natural hair color. And I'm like, oh, you're right, that has to be it, there's no other way. That's why Cherri's roots are blondish and the rest of her hair is this dyed bright red color with a hint of orange. So yeah. So that's my theory about why Cherri's hair looks the way it does in her demon form, because it would make more sense for her to have red hair, but it's a fun little nod to the fact that she was probably called Cherri because she dyed her hair red. And then I wanted to stick with the red motif as well. A lot of color fashion for the rock and roll style of the 80s was mostly purple, red, black, and a little bit of white. And so I figured if Cherri's gonna go with this full red theme, then a lot of her outfit should incorporate more red tones to it. So her red cheetah top, her red boots, and her leather pleather fake pants having a red tone to them as well. And, studs everywhere. And technically, studs back then either would have been silver or a chrome color. But for Cherri, I figured a nice, golden kind of stud would work better for her red aesthetic. And then her eye color is also blue, but it's more of a grayish blue. Don't ask me why I chose that. I just thought it looked kind of cool. A very, very muted, but still very, eye-catching color for her. Now, as for Cherri's outfit, I took bits and pieces of other classic iconic looks from other rock and roll stars of the 1980s, and most of it had to do with the Vixens and Joan Jett. There was one image of Joan Jett, and I think it might have been a movie, and she was wearing this see-through torn up pleather long sleeve whatever it was. I couldn't find anything about it. I really digged for it, but I figured Cherri would probably emulate Joan Jett the most because she's like the most iconic rocker chick of the time. And a few style choices were also from the Vixens, whereas like they had a really big interest in belts. Like most of their cover photos that I was looking at, they had crazy belts, and I'm like, I get it. So I gave Cherri her own kind of like Vixen styled belt as well, but still kind of more unique to her, where she'd have to make it herself because those kind of belts do cost a lot. And then Cherri's pants as well, she either would have made them herself or she would have, had it gotten a hand-me-down version of them or stolen them. Who really knows? You'll notice that I gave Cherri some scars all over her body. Now this came out of nowhere because when I was rewatching the Attic music video, I noticed that the way that Cherri dances is very similar to how like mosh pitters dance. And it dawned on me that, yeah, Cherri would be that kind of gal that would mosh pit hard. And I can only imagine that she would probably get some scars from it because the last time I mosh pitted really hard, I got the grossest scar on my arm, but it was fun at the time. So I can imagine that most of her scars are from mosh pitting or from like getting into bar fights with other people or just falling off of a motorcycle. Crazy, out of control, bad girl behavior. Now, as for Chillie, his outfit is a little bit more outlandish than hers is, and that mostly has to do with glam rock male band members where their outfits were like way over the top. Looking at some of those outfits, I was like, why was this ever a thing? This doesn't seem fashionable, but you do you. Like the striped parts on his arms, I was looking at some old band members, and one guy was using tape, like, regular medical tape, and was making these, like, designs out of them, like X's and stuff, and I was like, oh my god, dude, that's cool, but that's gotta be so uncomfortable. So, I imagine that's what Chillie is doing as well, with that whole, like, do-it-yourself kind of vibe, where he's using, like, tape to wraps around his arms, and then I gave him more of a mullet structure styled haircut. Hair back in the 80s was just big, and whatever shape you had, that's the shape you had. So for Chillie, he's getting like a mullet shape. Another funny thing too that I didn't realize until I started this, that headbands were more popular with the guys than the girls, which that kind of blew my mind as well. But I thought it was funny too, because in my gender bent design, you can see that I gave him a headband as well. So I'm like, why did I not pick up on that when I first did it? But whatever. Oh, and then a lot of the times the shirts were either very low cut V or just like ripped up. And since I already did that for his gender bent design, I figured I would just completely throw that away and just make him shirtless. Because he would be the guy to be like, what? You like what you see? Come here. But yeah. And then like the lowrider jeans weren't very popular in the 80s, but they were slowly becoming popular. And I figured Chillie would be very like, be as slutty as possible. And that's the only reason why I feel like he would wear low-rise jeans and just like be like, I don't care if you can see my deep V's, girl. But yeah, shoes, I had to look up a lot more for 1980s male shoes, because apparently the guys had taller boots than the girls, which was fashion back then, man. A lot of stuff got switched, you can really tell. But yeah, he's got like much higher boots and still incorporating the X into the design. X's and fire motifs, and I think like eagles, if I'm not mistaken, were really popular in designs, like for jackets and boots and just like overall aesthetic. So yeah, Chillie has more of an X style, and then Cherri has more of like a typical stud style, which works. In my opinion, I think it works. Arm sleeves were kind of a thing. It was mostly just like gloves and then like sleeveless shirts taped to your arms to look cool. And that's pretty much what I did for Chillie. I'm telling you, 1980s rock fashion, like if you were not in a band or anything, you really had to make your own clothes, or you really had to figure out like what looked cool at the time. And because I mean, it wasn't a fashion that you could just walk into a store and go, I'll take that, I'll wear that out. No, you had to come up with something. You had to really invent the style. And I think that's pretty neat for like fans for rock and roll fans to try to create their own fashion. But I think it's really cool that fans try to emulate their favorite rock band by creating their own fashion, which is really, really, honestly, it's really cool. I think that's such a fun thing to do, and I kind of wish music today would inspire people to do that, but nowadays it's just commercial fashion and fast fashion, and it's just kind of puts me in a mood where I'm like, ugh. But overall, I really love the designs that I've come up with. I love 80s fashion, you guys know this. I'm willing to just like pour all my heart and soul into 80s fashion and character designs that have to do with it. So I hope this was fun to watch because this was super fun to make. But anyway, that's all I have for today. For the next video, it will be Val and Valentino, which I'm super excited about because the sketch took a lot of time, but I'm really proud of where it got, and I'm super excited to show you guys. So hopefully you'll be just as excited. And then I've seen in the comments that a few of you don't know about it yet, but yes, I am doing human designs for the Hell of a Boss cast. I will probably exclude Luna, but I will do Mune, but I won't do Luna because it's already been established what her human design looks like. So, yeah. But anyway, I hope you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!